What's up, everybody? I'm JC,
I'm Brittany.
and you're listening to
Just Breathing Home Edition.
It's like a piece of cake now. It's a piece of
Got
cake. We always get it. We always get it. Well, welcome everybody back to our dining room for another home edition episode of Just Breathing, and we're going to continue in our conversation on marriage. If you watched our number 5 home edition, we started the conversation on marriage, and we talked a lot about communication, and that's been really the number one thing that we have focused on in our marriage. It's been the number one thing that has been successful. I think we can look back on and really see the success that working on communication has on our marriage.
Yeah.
It was not easy. As I said in the last podcast, communication is hard. And anybody that tells you differently and gives you a 10-step process to good communication, maybe it'll work. I don't know. Go for it. I mean, honestly, I mean, it won't hurt if it causes you to talk to your significant other. Good. You know, that'll move the needle on improving your marriage.
Right. Yeah.
So whatever you got to do, do it. But really just making the time is really one of the key points in communication. Making the time for it, coming back to the same subjects when you really feel like you haven't finished a conversation is really crucial. Don't leave, you know, don't bookend conversations. You know, let them continue, and then don't just leave them.
It never ended. Yeah.
Yeah, never ended. You know, make sure that you're continuing to come back to stuff and continuing to have the conversations. Yeah. So that's that podcast. You can go listen to it. It's pretty awesome, and I hope you really gain a lot from that. Yeah. So tonight we're just going to focus on another aspect that has been a huge part of our marriage from pretty early on, which is children.
Mm-hmm.
Marriage and children. They go hand in hand. And I'm not going to do a little jingle or anything like that. Love and marriage. No. But I want to have this conversation for myself. But I hope you'll gain a lot out of it as we kind of get into different aspects and different things that we've learned so far. Our oldest is only 6 years old. We have 3 kids. So we are no veterans yet. But if you get through the toddler years, I mean, you can call yourself like a war hero for sure. Maybe not a veteran yet because we're not retired. They haven't moved out of the house.
Oh, my
but
goodness.
War hero seems reasonable.
Yeah.
As a description for, you know, the things we've been through already and are continuing to go through even tonight. So yeah, what is the, I'll kind of put it to you this week since you kind of put me on the spot last week. What is one of the things that you've really, and I don't want to talk about parenting too much. We can do that in another podcast. This one is really how we worked through raising children together. You know, how we worked through it in our marriage, because like it or not, kids completely transform your marriage. Like our marriage was completely different until a kid came.
Right. Yeah, that's true.
you know?
Mhm.
So I just kind of wanted to focus on that sort of universe tonight.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because I think that could be helpful for people that are in similar boats as us right now. You know, or maybe are pondering doing that.
Right.
We have a
Right.
couple friends that are looking at adding to their child count, and so maybe they can get some stuff out of this too. But what's something that you've really noticed within our marriage that sort of shifted once kids came into the picture?
That's a really good question, and I feel like I have to think about it for a little bit. Well, I know. I mean, talking about communication again, not to get off track, but
Doesn't
like
matter.
that does also change in a way. Like it helps it increase, hopefully, but like you have a lot more to not just talk about because you're talking about the kids, but like to figure out. And like we're actually I feel like we do that all the time, or are currently doing that, where we like have to figure out what we're going to do,
Mhm.
like how to raise them well. Like because with kids, like the trouble never ends. Like that sounds like an awful thing to say, but
Yeah.
like the problems and difficulties like are a lot. Like to know how to deal with them and to try to be on the same page with your spouse with those things. Kind of you have to communicate, or like maybe you don't, but then that's kind of hard. That makes it hard. But so I think that's something that's actually we're doing currently and hopefully we'll continue to get better at, but is like talking about how can we, better respond in this situation when our child does this.
Mhm.
We know it's not good for our child. We know that like we're not maybe responding the exact right way. Like what is the best way to deal with this
Mhm.
for the child and for us and for everyone involved? And so I think it just increases like yeah, you have to make extra time almost to communicate because you have to figure this stuff out for the good of your kids and for your marriage and like.
Which goes back to the war hero analogy,
Yeah.
because you are making battle plans on a
Yeah.
constant basis.
Yeah.
You're assessing the issue, which usually is a repeating issue.
Right.
The terrorists keep attacking
Right.
in this one way.
Right.
Not comparing my kids to terrorists. They can be a terror.
Oh my goodness.
So maybe they fit I don't know. But you have to make a battle plan. And if you're a lone wolf out there just trying to do it on your own,
Yeah.
and then another parent is
Doing a different plan.
doing something completely
Yeah.
differently, one, it's not good for the kid.
Right.
Because then they're getting this dueling.
Right. Well, they can learn manipulation really well that way.
Right. So
It's already natural for us humans to manipulate.
Yeah,
so.
exactly. Exactly. So they're able to kind of pick and choose, like, okay, in this situation, daddy's much more of a pushover
Right.
than mommy.
Right.
So I'm going to daddy.
Yes.
So there's those factors. And also, just to bring it back to the marriage, if we're not on the same page on stuff, it could really sometimes create some animosity
Yeah.
within your marriage if you're not on the same page, because maybe in your mind you've already decided what the best parenting tactic is.
Right.
But if you haven't discussed that with your spouse and he or she's not doing it,
Right. Right.
you're kind of like, oh, they're not being a good parent.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it could really create some really ugly rifts
Mhm.
in your marriage,
Yeah.
where you go to bed and you're not saying anything about it, but you're thinking it.
Right.
And now you have these negative thoughts that are just
Yeah.
swimming around in your head about how your
yeah.
spouse is raising the children,
That's
so
so unhealthy.
Yeah. That's been one of the benefits of us, like you said, lately, really kind of sitting down and saying, okay, here are the things that are reoccurring in our kids. What are we going to do?
Yeah. Mhm.
What are we going to do to fix this? What are we going to do to be together,
Right.
on this, so that we support each other,
Mhm.
and the kid looks over your shoulder or my shoulder at the other parent, and the other
Yeah.
parent's like, mm-hmm,
Yep. Yep.
yeah, uh-huh,
Yeah.
we on the same page. Yeah.
It's so true.
So that's really helpful, being on the same page. and like you said, it comes back to communication.
Yeah.
Making sure that you don't just let situations just kind of sit.
Yeah.
Making sure that you actually address them, and the sooner you address them, the better it's going to be for your marriage.
Right.
Like I said, because then you're sitting on stuff, you're looking at the other person, and I admit, like, I've done that multiple times. I'm sure you've done that with me because you've had conversations with me about my parenting.
Right.
In a loving way, and that's another thing too. If you are sitting on stuff for a while and maybe you've just kind of let stuff go for a long time, maybe you have harbored these kind of animosities against your spouse for some way that they're parenting your children, when you finally decide to talk about it,
right,
come with love.
Yeah.
Come with a lot of love and a lot of like, hey, I know this is hard.
Right. It's so hard.
Because we all know it's hard.
Mm-hmm.
Raising children is not easy. Like you said, there's a lot of manipulation from very early on. They don't have to speak yet.
That's true.
All of our kids are speaking now, but even with our youngest, he's not completely fluent yet in his speech. But man, he can manipulate.
Oh yeah.
So yeah, coming with love, coming with understanding that we got to figure this out together.
Yeah, you really need to be on each other's team, like
that's it.
Because like just the thought of like, you like harboring like anger at my parenting is devastating almost, and I mean, not devastating, but you're so tired as a parent. You're so tired. So like if you're not supporting each other, that is really just, that makes it even harder. Yeah. Because you already feel like exhausted in this fight to do a good job parenting your children. And then to know that the other person thinks everything you do is wrong or, whatever. That's an exaggeration, but
or just doesn't understand what you're doing,
right?
Because you haven't talked about it,
right?
That's usually what it comes down to. It's not necessarily like, oh, they're doing this wrong. It's like, I don't get what they're doing,
right?
I find that happens a lot, and once we talk about it, I'm like, oh yeah, that makes sense,
right?
That makes sense,
yeah.
And especially, when you're taking care of kids at different times, like if you're working, and one person has the kids and one person, is away, it's hard too. You have to kind of come back and debrief. There are going to be a lot of military analogies tonight.
Yes.
But you need to kind of be like, all right, this happened today. This is what I did. These are the punishments I dealt out.
Right.
These are the things I put in place. Back me in this,
right.
Making sure the other person understands
right
what you're doing, why you're doing it, so that you can be together.
Right.
That's the goal. Like you said, we're on a team.
Yeah.
And sometimes marriages, unhealthy marriages function as a solo project. They don't function as a team.
Yeah.
And I always bring this up just because I always want to stress this. Marriage is not 50-50. Marriage is 100-100.
Yeah.
Like an effective team. I mean, like you look at like basketball, for example, there can be people that are like 50-50. Like if you pass me the ball, I'll shoot and make the basket.
Right.
But if you don't pass me the ball, I'm going to look at you and, down you if you miss that shot.
Right. Yeah.
That's not how it should work. It should work that we're all 100-100 in this together. Whatever needs to happen, whatever's best for the team.
Yeah.
We're going to do that. Even if it's a loss to me or if it's a loss to you.
Right.
Quote unquote loss. We're going to do that for the,
because we're on a team. We're not keeping score against each other. Right. Yeah.
Yeah, we're not keeping score against each other, and we're not trying to be ball hogs.
Right.
You know, we're not trying to be the favorite parent. We're not trying to
Right.
be the best parent.
Yeah.
You know, we're trying to be parents,
Right.
and have our kids really see us in that way.
Yeah.
So that's really important, and I always want to stress that because I hear it all the time.
Where people are like 50-50.
50-50.
Yeah.
Marriage is 50-50 and compromise. And I'm like,
Yeah.
no.
'Cause,
Like
yeah,
that
It's so true.
50-50 marriages are they are the ones that make up the 50% divorce rate that we have in our country.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Plain and simple. I don't know the statistics of all of that, but I can, with great authority of my mind, you know, through pure speculation and a little bit of just personal experience with people that have had marriages fail,
Right.
or go through great struggles, it usually is because it's a 50-50 relationship.
Right. Right.
And both partners are trying to kind of get theirs
Mm-hmm.
out of the relationship, get theirs out of the children, get theirs out of life.
Right.
And
It's just very easy. Like as soon as you have that mindset, in my mind, I see it as this, like you're keeping score because you're like, well, I did this much, so you should have done that much.
I hear that a lot too.
And so
Yeah.
as soon as you think that you're only giving 50, you see less than in the other person because of course you feel, we're all like this. We feel like we did like everything we should have.
Yeah.
And so the other person has to live up to that.
And it's okay to admit it. That actually is the first step to fixing that issue,
Right. Right.
is to admit, I'm feeling like I'm doing more in the relationship
Mhm.
right now.
Yeah.
And maybe you are.
Right. Right.
Maybe you are. Maybe your spouse is being lazy in certain areas,
Right.
you know, and you have to just kind of bring that out, like with everything.
Mm-hmm.
Bring it out so that you can communicate and work through it,
Right.
get back on the same page, bring understanding to the situation,
Right. For the purpose of getting on the same page, not for the purpose of being like,
not touting,
right.
not bringing it up in order to accuse or in order to, yeah, like you said, kind of put your score on the scoreboard.
Yeah.
Like it has to be something where, again, you're coming with love. You're coming with, I want the best for us.
Right.
So yeah, I mean, if you haven't really committed to your spouse 100%, maybe don't bring it up, you know, because that really has to be first,
Yeah.
because you will just come with the scoreboard.
That's a really good point.
You know, make sure that you have committed, even if you know that they haven't committed 100%. It is not your job to withhold
Yeah.
your percentages or
Right,
whatever it
right.
is from your spouse. Even if you know or think or assume that they're holding back
Right,
from
right.
you.
Mm-hmm.
Because that's not love. And it's not the love that we're supposed to show our spouses in marriage.
Mm-hmm.
You know, we're supposed to be all in.
Yes.
That's why a lot of people kind of knock marriage, because they're like, what is this stupid like legal commitment
Right,
that I have
right.
to like make to this other person? Like, I love that person.
right.
Why do I have to like sign a piece of paper that like legally, you know, half of my belongings now belong to
Right.
this other person? And I get it. It can be kind of silly,
Mm-hmm.
but if you look at it as just a metaphor for the way you're going to act in your marriage,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it says, till death do us part.
Right.
That's a
That's
big
all
statement.
in.
That's a big
Yeah.
statement. Like, I'm with you to the end. So you might as well just be all in.
Yeah.
I mean, you're going to live the rest of your life 50%.
Right.
Like, that's going to tear at you, because you're always, see, this is the thing too. You're always going to be wondering if that person's withholding percentages from you.
Mm. Wow.
You're always gonna have that in the back of your mind, and that's why divorce comes up. That's why adultery comes up,
Yeah.
and you're like, well, I kind of love this person just as much as the percentage that I'm giving to my current spouse.
Right.
So it must be the same love. I must be not in love with that spouse anymore. I must be in love with this new person, because that same percentage you're able to give, because you already had 50% to give.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
I'm getting a little worked up. I'm sorry, but I think it's important. I think it goes hand in hand with raising children, because it's so easy to keep score.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Like you said, that's a perfect analogy. It's so easy to keep score when you have these little ones to rack up points on.
Right. Yep.
So okay. So we got through one thing.
Yeah. I just have to go off of what you were just saying. I never thought of it that way. I'm a little bit off topic here, but how you said you can give percentages to it's easy to give percentages to other people if you're not all giving all of it to your spouse. And I never thought of it that way, but that's actually a great way of thinking about it, because a lot of times we go, well, for the most part in America, you go into marriage with love feelings.
Sure.
But if you're banking your marriage on your feelings, then that's not a good idea. That's why you have to be all in, because there's going to be times where you're angry at your spouse, or there's times where for whatever reason you don't have these romantic feelings that you had when you were dating.
Yeah.
And no, you're all in. But what I'm getting to is what an awesome feeling it is to know this is the person that I'm going to be with for the rest of my life. And I'm giving them everything. There's no, I feel like it's just a wonderful, solid feeling to know I don't have to wobble back and forth with well, maybe
Mm-hmm.
with other people, or
that's the most dangerous word
looking
in a
at
marriage.
other things, or whatever. No, that's not even as soon as that thought comes into your mind, you're just no, why would I do that? So it's not even a thing. You're just no.
Right. Well, that's why I always really encourage people to get married.
Yeah.
I want them to be ready. Like I said in the last podcast, if you're not communicating well, don't get married yet.
Yeah.
You really got to work that out before you get married, or it's going to affect your marriage. Also, if you're just living with a person, or you're just dating for 10,000 years, you're just leaving that door open.
Yeah.
Yeah. Your actions are speaking loudly. Maybe.
Right. Yeah.
I'm going to keep my options open. I'm not going to commit.
Yeah.
Because I don't know. I don't know what your reasons for that might be. It could be fear, which I get, but you have to get over that.
Right. Because you'll never get to, so this is what I have found.
Yeah.
And I'm excited to see what happens in years to come, but you'll never get to the deeper love that you don't even know yet.
Mm-hmm.
Because when you're committed to someone and you've shared so many struggles and joys and everything with this person, your love then does grow very deep for that person. Yeah. And you'll never get there. You'll never get there if you're always kind of in a not all in yet.
Mm-hmm.
And you'll never know it. You'll never know how deep that love can go. Because you haven't given it all in, and you haven't worked through all the hard stuff, and yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree.
Something in my mouth.
Yeah, you have something on your lip. I'll make sure to clip that. Just breathing clips. If you want to see
no
Brittany's
that's so
lip
gross.
fungus.
I don't know what that was.
A little old food or something.
Ew, that's gross.
A little Chick-fil-A.
I brushed my teeth, so I don't know what it could be.
You're okay. I think you're good now.
Okay. This is
You're
gross.
good now. Could be hair. Could be kids' kinetic sand. Could be a whole plethora of things in our house. No, I think you're completely right though. And that really is the goal, to see how deep you could love somebody. I think that's the goal of marriage, that only time can really perform that function, like, because we found this in our own marriage, that like you really love the person at first, and
Mhm.
you're right, especially early on, there's that romantic love, and you're
Mhm.
just all over that, all
Mhm.
about that person, and then that wears off, and then it's just a committed love. Then it's just a working love where you
Yeah.
just kind of, you wake up and you do it again. You
Mhm.
wake up and you do it again, and it's a discipline in and of
Mm-hmm.
itself, and you really are able to see, especially when you're in it for a while and you look back, how much more you love that person,
Yeah.
when you've been in it for a long time.
Yeah.
You don't think it's possible
Yeah.
because you really loved that person when you got married.
It's amazing.
You have to love
Yeah.
that person to get married. But it is amazing when you have that commitment for the long haul to see how that love deepens. I mean, even in our marriage, how our love, like we wake up and we're like, gosh, it's crazy that I love you more now
Yeah.
than I did when we got married.
Yeah. It's amazing.
And that's not a bad thing. That's a good thing.
Right.
You're like, did you really love that person
Right.
enough to get married?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
And it's supposed to grow because you're cultivating something.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like the growth of a plant. Like if you water it, if you show up every day and make sure it's getting sunlight, if you prune it, you make sure
Mhm.
you're clipping off all the junk in your own life
Right.
that could, affect the life of that plant.
Exactly.
You're going to grow.
Yep.
You're going to flourish. So the love's only going to get bigger and stronger and deeper. The roots are going to grow down deep.
Right. Right.
A lot of analogies tonight. Man, I should write like a book or something. It's like
Analogy night.
how many marriage analogies can you come up with? Maybe I'll nick some of the military ones. So. Might be a little harsh for like a marriage book. You're like, this is intense.
What is he talking about?
Yeah. Yeah. No, this is good though. This is good. I mean, we started on children and I want to talk more about that, but like what we're talking about is really basics.
Yeah.
Really the basics for how to have a healthy marriage. And something just while it's in my head, I am the type of person that I hate people that look so lovey-dovey on social media.
Oh yeah, you have a thing with this?
I have a thing about this that usually, especially with guys, and women look out for this, when guys are like all about like how great of a husband they are and like how much they love their wives and la 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 la. I think there's something going on there.
Mm.
I could be wrong. In many cases, I probably am wrong. But then, like, I don't know, a few years later, it's coming out, they're having an affair or they divorce their wife. And, like, amazingly, this new woman comes in like a few weeks later. So watch out for that, too. We're talking about how, awesome our marriage has been. But I hope you're really hearing, too, of how difficult our marriage has been also.
Yeah.
Not in a difficult where we hate each other, but in a difficult of how we've how we've grown in the difficulty.
Yeah. It's work.
It is work.
It's work. It's easier to walk away than it is to work through things sometimes. Like,
so always look to people that are working through stuff, not the people that look like they have it all figured out and have it perfect, because those people don't actually exist. And that's why it just bothers me and scares me.
Yeah.
Because some of these people that I follow and I see them kind of doing that whole thing and I really like the person, but it scares me.
Yeah.
Because I'm like, okay, what's really going on there?
Right.
And they could just be loving their wife. They
Right.
could just be, all about their woman or all, and I'm focusing on the guys because I feel like I can perceive more into the way that a guy thinks.
Right.
Because women, I have no idea. I have no idea. Hopefully, through this marriage, I will figure some of that out.
You'll learn more.
I'll learn more. Yeah.
Yeah, that's off of some of the things that you just said, relating it back to children though, like these foundational things are so important because it is when your kids leave the house that like you need to like, you still want to have a marriage.
Right.
You know, you don't want like your kids to leave and then you're like, oh wait, why are we together again? You know, like I hear that happens.
That does happen. That's such a weird thing. I wonder, because isn't that part of like the whole empty nest?
I don't know if that's
thing?
part of the empty nest. I don't know about that, but I've heard,
because I hear that a lot. You know, the kids move out of the house. I think what happens is, from what I've heard, is you had this sort of common bond through your children that sort of was the glue for your marriage.
Right.
And that's also unhealthy.
Right. Yes.
You know, your children, and this is a great thing to bring up in this topic. Your children cannot be the glue to your marriage.
Yeah.
Your marriage needs to be healthy apart from your kids.
Yes.
You need to devote date nights. You need to devote alone time after the kids have gone to bed. You need to do the necessary marriage things.
Right.
And really make sure that you're glued together apart from your kids.
Yes.
Because I think that is what it stems from, is like after the kids leave the house, they don't know, a lot of couples don't know how to be a couple without their kids.
Yep.
You know, and it makes sense.
It does make sense.
It makes sense. But
and you said that it was unhealthy, and I believe that it is. And not only is it unhealthy for you, but it's also unhealthy for your kids. Like, it's not good for your kids to, like, they might catch on to that because maybe like I don't know, I have all the answers for this. This is just speculation, but like maybe they see that like you like almost are dependent on their love, or like they are your world, which I can totally understand that because we love our children so much. But if they're not seeing like a strong marriage, that's not going to be good for them when they are trying to look for a spouse.
Right.
And then they also, even once they're out of their house, they still want to see their parents have a strong marriage and be together.
Right.
And that will be good for their kids. And
right. Because there's two things there. There's the first thing is, there's the example that you need to be for your kids, because if they're the reason that you're still together, they're going to look at kids as a way of staying together with their future.
I never even thought about that.
Partners.
Yeah.
You know, they're going to look at, we need kids.
That will help us.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And a lot of people do this. A lot of people will get married and kind of be living 50-50 and be like, I know what'll fix this.
Yeah.
Children.
Yeah. No.
No, it won't. No. It will not.
It's going to make it harder.
It will. Children are difficult things to work through. And if your marriage is on the rocks before then, it's going to be hell.
Yeah, it is.
Like no other way to put it. It's not going to be good.
Yeah.
So I see that, making sure that you're setting the example for how you want them to exist in their own marriages and not have kids be a focus for how to keep, to be the glue in their marriage.
Right.
And then also you don't want your marriage to fall apart after the kids leave the house, because they're going to know that there was that dependency there.
Yeah.
And then when the marriage falls apart, they're going to blame themselves.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's just not fair.
Yeah.
That's not fair to your kids. And I see that so much. I've had that in my own family.
Yeah.
I've had, I'm not going to get specific, but
Right.
people have divorced after the kids moved out of the house.
Right.
Gone to college, and then the marriage falls apart.
Yeah.
And it takes years.
Yeah. Yeah.
Just the stories that I've had in my own family, like years for those kids to recover from that, to kind of get all their questions answered, to get over and learn that it wasn't their fault, to forgive their parents for the hurt that it caused. it's just that's another thing that's just very unhealthy. I am not a fan of divorce. I think there are scenarios in which that it's proper, but you know, if your spouse isn't beating the crap out of you emotionally or physically, it's hard. It's hard for me to justify divorce.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, infidelity is another one that I understand
Yeah.
divorce in those scenarios. I don't know if it's always right.
Yeah.
Again, for your kids, when you've brought children into the world, it changes everything.
Yeah.
I can't even imagine the pain of someone cheating on me within marriage. You know, I can't imagine.
No.
But that commitment that you've made to that person, and the commitment and the responsibility that you have by bringing kids into the world may outweigh the pain. Not outweigh, but it may be reason enough for you to even work on your marriage after something as horrific as that.
Yeah.
So I'm not a fan of divorce. I'm just not a fan because I think most people, like you pointed out earlier, most people that look to divorce within marriages already were looking at divorce before they got married.
Or they just weren't all in. They were just kind of
That's
like,
what I mean.
Yeah.
You know, you already left the door open when you got married.
Right. Yep.
You can't hope and be 100%.
Yeah.
You know, hope is not something like, hope is a good thing. I like hope. Hope is good.
Yes.
But in marriage,
you decide. You don't hope. You
marriage
decide.
is a decision.
Yeah.
Marriage is a commitment. Marriage is something that you have to jump into all the way. Jump into the deep end. You cannot dip your feet.
Right.
Because all those things are on the table automatically.
Yep.
Automatically. Don't get me wrong. I mean, you could make those decisions after, you know, you've already gotten married and maybe you weren't in that place when you got married.
Right.
But it's a lot harder. It's a lot harder because you already made one commitment halfway.
Yeah.
You know, maybe you'll make the next decision to like, oh, I think I'm going to jump in the deep end now. And you just get in the shallow end.
Yeah. Yeah.
Analogy.
Yeah.
Here we go.
It's true. You think about arranged marriages back in the day. I don't even know. That seems like ages and ages ago.
Yeah.
But and from the way it sounds, like those people stayed together. Like, I'm sure that it wasn't like delightful, especially at first. Like, I cannot imagine that.
Yeah.
But like, and I'm not advocating for that either. But what I'm saying is there was kind of like it was like a cultural thing back then where you get married and that's your person now.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Especially because in those same cultures that had arranged marriages, you were still like, a part of that was also to bring children into the world.
Yeah.
Like that was a mandate.
Right, right.
You were getting married and you were going to make babies.
Right.
That's just a thing. Interestingly enough, parts of the world that still do arranged marriages have better rates of staying together than countries that don't.
Because it's not based on your feelings.
Right. It's based on
a decision. This is what we're going to do.
Yeah.
This is what we're doing. And
arranged marriages. No.
But it's just a big example of how powerful a marriage can be, even if those feelings go.
Right.
You know, you can do it. Decide. You know.
And yeah, and going back to even just not arranged marriages, but culturally, you know, you look at your grandparents and stuff like that. Maybe you have a terrible, you know, example in your grandparents, but maybe they're still together.
Right.
And maybe they, you know, were together till death.
Yeah.
Maybe their marriage wasn't healthy,
Mhm.
but there was just a cultural thing. Like, you got married, you had kids, you're going to stay together till you die.
Right.
And it's valuable.
It is
It's valuable. We have too many escape pods in our culture right now, and we don't really get strong on like the things we're talking about tonight. You know, we make up these phrases like marriage is 50-50.
Mm-hmm.
No.
That's an escape pod in itself.
That's an escape pod in itself, but it's a part of our culture now.
Yeah.
You know, we teach it to people in like marriage counseling.
Yeah.
You know, hey guys, you know, you really got to come together. This is going to be a 50-50 thing. You got to really work on, you know, making sure you're giving and take, you know, give and take.
Yeah.
And it's like, what? You know, like what I always say to you, what's mine is yours and what's yours is yours.
Yeah, that's right.
And you know what? You sometimes are that way with me.
Except
you
with
know,
my chocolate.
Except with your chocolate. I can't touch your chocolate.
You can, but there might be a problem. You'll have to go out to the store and get me some more.
Yeah. Yeah, you cut Brittany, she bleeds chocolate. Dark chocolate. That is how how you survive marriage with children. Chocolate. Chocolate is an essential aspect.
You must have it in the house.
Marriage. You know, as you're communicating, as you're debriefing and making sure you're all on the same page, make sure your wife has a chocolate bar. High end, you know, maybe Dove, you know, if you're on the cheaper side. But it's just necessary.
It is.
It's just necessary. Maybe ice cream, but sometimes that just doesn't satisfy.
It's true. Sometimes you need both.
You need the hard stuff. You need the hard, dark stuff.
Oh, it's so true.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Chocolate. Kind of want some now. But I won't touch.
Good job.
Yeah. Successful marriage. There we go. Yeah. So what are some other aspects that we haven't really touched on so far in
when it comes to marriage and kids?
Yeah, marriage and kids.
Oh man.
It's hard because I've been doing it for 6 years.
I know.
So it's not like we've had a whole lot of time to even step back. You know, especially we have 3 under 6.
I know.
So it's just go,
it's like a whirlwind.
Yeah.
I mean, I can't think of anything right now. I just know how hard it's just hard. It's hard.
Yep.
It's like, it's delightful. Like, I don't want to mistake how wonderful it is. Like, it's wonderful to have kids, but like, man, it's so tiring. I have so much more grace now for other parents.
Yeah.
That are like,
100%.
That like,
screaming kids in Walmart.
Yeah.
I'm like,
I know. I want to like put up that Hunger Games sign.
Yeah,
yeah. I know. I feel you.
May the odds be ever in your favor.
Yeah. That's exactly what I want to do.
Yeah.
But I would just say it's so hard, and like most of the time I'm just so tired and I'm like, what do I do?
Yeah.
What do I do now?
Yeah.
What do I do next? After I just did something.
That is marriage with kids. You're both going to be tired, especially in the early days when especially when you bring a baby home for the first time.
Oh, yeah.
Maybe you'll have the perfect kid. Some of my friends have gotten lucky and the kid sleeps like 8 hours a night.
Right.
You know, through the whole night.
Yeah.
That's not the case with most, though.
Right.
You know, you're up every couple hours to feed. You're up, baby's crying, has colic,
oh my goodness,
all kinds of things that you could go through that does demoralize you,
Mm-hmm.
And it's difficult. And if you don't have that support system, if you're like, you get up,
Yeah.
I got up last time,
Yeah.
it needs to be like you're both going to be tired. You're going to struggle.
Right.
We were at each other's throats sometimes in the early days, but if you can grow to that mentality, like, I'll take this. And if your spouse is like, no, I'll take this.
Yeah.
That's going to, and usually be like, okay. I just said it to be nice and make sure that you thought that I was going to really do it. Yeah. You did that sometimes.
I really like my sleep.
You do. You do like your sleep. Sleep in chocolate.
Sleep in chocolate.
Sleep in chocolate. They're the best.
Then you'll have a happy wife.
Yeah. Yeah. But yeah, the early days are going to be hard. The terrible 2s and 3s and 4s and 5s and 6s.
Yeah, it's all tiring. It's all tiring, just in different ways.
It is.
Like all of a sudden you get over one, you're like, oh, maybe this is it.
Yeah.
And then you're like, no, it's not.
Now they're walking.
Now they're getting.
How'd they get over there?
What are they opening? Don't put that in your mouth.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
There's all of that. So it's hard now that we've scared you.
It's partly because we have 3 so close together too.
Yeah.
Though.
Yeah. But it's the most beautiful, wonderful, exciting thing, especially when you get times like this where we just kind of get to reflect.
Mm-hmm.
You know, when we put the kids to bed and we just kind of get to sit on the couch, relax, and just kind of reminisce about the day. Like, did you see the face that, you know, this kid made, or did you see the thing that this kid did, or did you see the way they played together today? Oh, it was so cute.
Right.
Yeah, those are the moments that you'll cherish forever. But we wanted to tonight just kind of focus on how you can do this together, how you can have a successful marriage and have kids.
Right.
Because it is possible, even though maybe your parents didn't show you that, your grandparents didn't show you that, maybe TV definitely doesn't show you that, because everybody's either separated, single, you know, hate each other.
Mm-hmm.
There's no good examples. That's what's kind of sad.
Yeah.
Like early sitcoms used to have some successful marriages. Like, you know, you look at like Family Matters, or you look at even the Jeffersons. No, they were always yelling at each other, but there was some good examples growing up on like some TV shows. It's just not the case anymore.
No.
And I know that sadly the sitcoms and things like the shows and stuff are just kind of reflecting today's culture.
Yeah. What people are.
And man, I hope through our conversations, through you guys watching and listening to this, we could help you not be a part of that culture.
Yeah.
You know, we really need to change this culture, like we talk about all the time when we talk about conversation and how that's going to really see us through these difficult times that we're in.
Yeah.
It's the same way as building strong families.
Yeah.
You know, it starts with your marriage. It starts with how you're raising your kids. That will affect culture.
Mm-hmm.
That will affect this world. So work at it. You know, make the time right now. If you haven't talked to your spouse about some things, set aside the time, go put the phone away, and just make the time to talk.
Yeah. So
let's wrap it up here. Guys, thank you for listening. Thank you for watching this. YouTube watchers, make sure that you make sure that you like this video. Make sure you subscribe. Make sure you hit the notification bell. We're going to keep coming back with more of these conversations. And those that are listening to this on Apple Podcasts, please leave us a review and give us a 5-star rating on Apple Podcasts. Spotify listeners, follow us so that you get notified when we put up a new audio podcast. And we'll see you on the next episode. Love you guys. Bye.
So you gotta smash like, subscribe, click the links down below so I make a time. Comment, say hi, hit the bell so I know I'll see you next time.